The call to prayer echoed softly through the narrow alleys of Gulshan Colony, a neighborhood where poverty lived openly, like an old neighbor who refused to leave. Small children chased each other barefoot on the dusty street, women carried water buckets on their heads with quiet strength, and men gathered near tea stalls trying to swallow their worries with cheap chai. In a small, dimly lit apartment on the second floor of an aging building, Amina, a 28-year-old widow, tightened the scarf around her thin face as she prepared a pot of boiling water. There was no tea in it, just water, to give the illusion of warmth and normalcy. Her kitchen shelves were bare, only stale spices remained in jars that once held more hopeful days. Her daughter, 5-year-old Noor, sat cross-legged on the floor, hugging her small cloth doll. "Mama," she whispered, her voice timid, "Aaj iftar mein kya hoga?" Amina forced a smile. The kind mothers learn when survival depends on pretending. "Beta, today Mama is fasting," she replied softly, "and you already ate in the morning, remember?" Noor shook her head. "Only bread ka chota tukta." "Yes, that was enough for you, my love," Amina said, kneeling beside her daughter and brushing a finger across her cheek. "Allah gives strength." But inside her chest, fear gnawed like an invisible animal. Amina hadn't eaten properly for 3 days. Noor had eaten even less. They had lived like this ever since her husband, Khalid, died in a construction accident almost 8 months ago. His employers had refused compensation, claiming he was at fault for being careless. Amina had begged them, cried at their office door, but the world rarely rewarded desperation. Her in-laws had blamed her for Khalid's death, calling her bad luck, refusing to take her in. She was left alone with a child and a salaryless life. Rent was overdue. The electricity bill sat unopened. Food had disappeared from the house like sand slipping through fingers. But Amina stayed silent, holding the suffering inside, because she had lived enough to know that poor people's pain made everyone uncomfortable. Outside, the building was quieter than usual. Only the sound of roti making drifted from open windows, the sound of families preparing for iftar soon. Next door, Samar, a 34-year-old accountant and father of 2, stood on his balcony scrolling through emails on his phone. His wife, Farah, a kind but perceptive woman, called out from inside, "Iftar is almost ready. Can you bring in the dishes?" "Coming," he replied, setting his phone aside. As he passed the thin wall separating his home from Amina's, he heard something, a whisper so soft he almost ignored it. "Mama, mujhe bhuk lagi hai." The tiny voice pressed against his heart like a fist. He froze. It wasn't nosiness, it was instinct. Something in the child's tone, a mixture of fear, hunger, and apology, sent a shiver through him. His brows furrowed. "Farah," he called gently, "did you hear that?" She stepped closer, drying her hands on her apron. "Hear what?" He leaned closer to the wall. "I think Noor said she's hungry." Farah frowned. "But it's fasting time, maybe she just wants iftar." "No," Samar whispered. She sounded desperate. Farah's eyes softened. "Let's just check." Quietly. Meanwhile inside, Amina held Noor tightly. "Ba toda sa saber karo, Mary Yan. After Maghrib, Mama will find something." "Allah se kahai na ke humeri gar mine koi kana beidai," Noor mumbled, her small voice trembling. Amina felt something break inside her chest. "Raz mengti hun, beta," she whispered, "Raz." A soft knock sounded at her door. Amina stiffened immediately, fear striking her like lightning. It could be the landlord demanding rent. Or neighbors, people she carefully avoided because she didn't want pity. She hesitated. "Mama, Kanhai," Noor whispered. "Maybe someone came to ask about the electricity bill," Amina murmured nervously. The knock came again, gentler this time. Slowly, with trembling hands, Amina opened the door just a few inches. Samar stood there with a polite smile. "Assalamu alaikum, Amina Baji. Everything okay?" Amina blinked, startled. G. Bilkul. Hum Thik Hain." Farah stepped beside him, holding a small tray. "We're distributing iftar to neighbors today," she lied smoothly, though they had never done this before in all the years they'd lived here. "Thought you might like some." Amina's breath caught. On the tray lay dates, pakoras, fruits, and a small box of biryani. Her heart ached. "Oh, no, she stammered, her pride rising instinctively. "We are fasting today and—" "We know," Farah interrupted gently. "This is for iftar. Hum sab mil kar khayanj." Amina swallowed hard, confusion and shame swirling inside her. "Lekin, please," Samar said softly, "let us share." Noor peeked from behind her mother, eyes wide, lips dry, hair messy. Farah saw the desperation instantly. Before Amina could object again, Noor whispered, "Mama, biryani." Amina's shoulders slumped in defeat. "Thank you," she said finally, her voice breaking. "Allah apko bohat ajarda." As soon as they left, Noor rushed to the tray with trembling hands. Amina forced herself to smile, though tears blurred her vision. "Beta, pela dua Carlo," she whispered. Noor nodded eagerly and repeated after her. Then, as the Maghrib azan sounded, Noor began eating quickly, her tiny fingers moving with hunger and relief. Amina watched her with a deep, consuming guilt. She wouldn't eat, she decided. Better Noor be full. But Noor noticed. "Mama, op nahi kha rehi. I'm still fasting, Beta. But you said iftar." "I made a dua not to eat tonight," Amina lied. Noor frowned at the plate. "Then I won't eat too." Amina panicked. "No, no, you must eat. You're hungry," Noor whispered. "I know." Amina wrapped her arms around her daughter, pressing her face into Noor's hair. "Beta, if Mama eats, what will you eat tomorrow?" "That's why." Noor didn't answer, but her grip tightened. Next door, Samar sat heavily on the couch. "You heard them, right?" he asked Farah. Farah nodded, her expression pained. "Amina Baji isn't fasting because it's Ramadan, she's fasting because she has no food. And she's lying to protect her child," Samar whispered, stunned by the weight of it. Farah wiped her tears quickly. "We have to help them." "Of course. But how?" "She's proud. Then we help without making her feel small," Farah replied firmly. They formulated a quiet plan. Days passed. When Samar returned home from work, he carried groceries and pretended they were extra rations from the office drive, and insisted neighbors share them. Farah cooked more than usual and sent small portions to Amina, always framed as, "We made too much." Slowly, Amina's wall of pride began to soften, not from need but from kindness. Yet she still ate little, giving most to Noor. And Samar knew. One evening, while coming up the stairs, he saw Noor sitting on the steps, staring sadly at her feet. "Assalamu alaikum, Noor," he greeted softly. "Why sitting here alone, Beta?" "No food again," she whispered, looking away. "Mama says she's fasting, but I heard her tummy making noise." Samar's heart fractured in a way he hadn't experienced before. "Come," he said gently. "Help me carry this fruit basket to your mama." Noor nodded eagerly and followed, her little hands gripping the basket with proud responsibility. Amina opened the door, startled to see Noor carrying food. "Assalamu alaikum," Samar greeted. "Noor helped me bring this. She's strong, mashallah." Amina's eyes filled instantly. "Ye sabkian." "No reason," he replied simply. "Sometimes Allah sends risk through people. That's all." She wanted to refuse, wanted to push the basket back, but Noor looked so happy. "Let me make chai," Amina said softly. "No need," Samar smiled. "Dua hi kafi hi, But things were about to get worse. The landlord sent an eviction notice. Amina had 10 days. 10 days until she and Noor would have no roof. She hid the letter under her mattress, but the anxiety seeped into every breath. She worked harder than ever, sewing clothes until her fingers bled. She took cleaning jobs wherever she could. But the money wasn't enough. One night, Noor found her crying silently in the bathroom. "Mama, are we leaving our home?" Amina froze. "How did you?" "I saw the paper," Noor whispered. "The one with the red stamp." Amina knelt and hugged her tightly. "Allah will make a way, Beta. Don't be afraid." But fear had already taken root in the child. Later that night, as Samar stepped into the hallway, he heard Noor's faint sobs again. No, Mama, mujhe gar chahi." He couldn't stay silent anymore. He knocked gently. Amina opened the door, wiping her tears too late. "Everything okay?" he asked softly. She forced a smile. "Yes, just tired." "Is it something I can help with?" Samar asked cautiously. "No," she whispered. "This is life. Everyone carries their own burdens. But some burdens break people," he replied. "You don't have to carry them alone." Amina looked away. "I don't want to be anyone's problem." "You're not," Samar insisted. "You're our neighbor. That is enough." Amina swallowed. "Even neighbors have limits." "Not in this home," Samar said firmly. Something in his tone finally cracked her resistance. She stepped aside. "Come in." He entered and immediately noticed the emptiness. No fan running, fridge unplugged, mattress thin, no groceries. His heart twisted. "Amina Baji, does Noor have enough to eat?" Amina closed her eyes. I feed her. I try. And you? That doesn't matter. It does, he said quietly. It matters very much. Then Noor appeared from the corner, rubbing her eyes. She walked straight to Samar and whispered, please don't let us leave this home. Amina gasped. Noor. Samar knelt. Why do you think you're leaving? Landlord uncle gave a red paper. Noor sniffed. Mama cried. Samar looked up at Amina. Amina Baji, why didn't you tell us? Because what can anyone do? She whispered. Rent. Bills. I can't pay anything. I don't want charity. This isn't charity, he replied firmly. This is humanity. The next morning, Samar visited the landlord before going to work. By evening, the eviction notice was gone. When Samar returned home, he told Farah, we're paying their rent until she gets back on her feet. No arguments. Farah nodded, and I'll help her find work. But they didn't tell Amina yet. That evening, Amina found an envelope under her door. Inside was a simple note. Your rent is paid. Your home is safe. Take care of Noor, a friend. Amina rushed next door, tears streaming down her face. Samar bye, she cried. Why would you do this? He stepped aside, letting her in. Noor ran to Farah, hugging her tightly. Amina Baji, Samar said gently, you don't deserve to lose your home. Noor deserves stability. You're working hard. You just needed time. But how will I repay you? She whispered. You don't have to, Farah said softly. One day, when you're strong again, help someone else. That will be enough. Amina covered her face, sobbing uncontrollably. I lied about fasting, because I had nothing. Farah held her shoulders firmly. You didn't lie. You protected your child. That is not a sin, it is motherhood. Amina cried harder. Samar added softly, no one should have to starve behind closed doors. Not when they have neighbors who can hear a child whisper. Amina looked up, eyes swollen. You heard her. Yes, he said, and thank God I did. Months passed. Amina found stable work through Farah's help, sewing uniforms for a private school. Samar helped her apply for widow support funds. Her savings slowly grew. The electricity returned. Her home filled with small blessings again, food in the kitchen, clothes for Noor, and peace in the nights. Noor grew bright and confident, often bringing little drawings to Samar and Farah's children. One evening, as they all shared chai on the balcony, Noor climbed into Samar's lap and said, Uncle, thank you for hearing me that day. He smiled. I didn't just hear you, Beta, I listened. And you saved us, she said proudly. Amina smiled softly from across the table. You both saved us. Farah shook her head. We only did what Allah expects from us. The sky darkened, the call for prayer rising again through the neighborhood. Amina closed her eyes in gratitude. She was no longer alone. No longer hungry. No longer afraid. And it all began with a quiet whisper that someone finally heard.